You know, we have been on a shoestring for a very long time, so I'm not sure that our experience is replicable or applicable, frankly, in this changed age. You know, technologically speaking, everything is getting more and more, you know, costs are decreasing in technology while new tools become available. So, but when we built Open Secrets in 1996, I think our budget was about 1.1 million, just over $1 million. We're only at 1.3 to 1.5 million these days. So that hasn't changed. We've kept our core focus the entire time, and we have and we've allowed people to take our data and create things that we perhaps would like to do, but would pull us too far afield from our core work. But you know, as far as what's required for building a database that can house these vast amounts of information, it takes a database professional to efficiently manage very large data sets. And here we're talking data sets that are too large to fit into standard programs like Excel and Access, which are probably the most commonly used. So when there's too much data for that, you need to have someone specially trained in more robust packages, and you need to have computers that are strong and fast enough to manipulate that data. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to spend a lot of money, and that's the personnel is probably the most expensive piece of the puzzle. You can use free software. You can sometimes use desktop computers. That may be enough. These days they're pretty robust. You may need fast disks, so that could be expensive. But if you're looking at 100,000 records, you can do this in Access, or even 1 or 2 million records. If you're starting, it's when you really start crossing the line into millions of records that you need to invest in hardware and in personnel. And the vast majority of our budget goes toward personnel and expertise. Until 1999, we did the whole tech process on workstations. So in 2000, we switched to SQL Server, but we're a small nonprofit that operates on a shoestring. So a lot can be done with a little. We're living proof of that.
What was that spark that happened to you when you said, I really want to launch, this is my idea, I really think that this is something that needs to be there because?
Well, for me, it was really, you know, the data mine that we began creating and seeing how every way you looked at the data, you saw new stories being told, or potential stories, and that were not being told, and that you wanted to get out there. So we're fortunate since we have so much data to work with that's provided by the federal government that we can simply now just, you know, suck in and you know, twist and turn and sort and group and you know, there's so much data. There's so many stories hidden within the data. We have been fortunate to have that kind of served up on a platter for us, and can focus all our time and attention on adding value to the data. You know, in our case, we're talking about political finance data, so we're standardizing it by industry, we're classifying it by organization, we're classifying it by a unique individual, so that we can slice and dice it and present it to people in new and interesting ways. And again, the focus is to not just create data, but to tell stories with it that help people understand how the government is being influenced, in many cases disproportionately, by money and elite influence in Washington. And so I think it's been a real privilege to be here at an organization that I feel proud to walk into every morning, that I feel like is doing important work, that has, is really being an honest broker with this data, and not pulling punches or not spinning the data or cooking the numbers, but simply putting it out there in relevant ways and providing meaningful access to information that people need. They need to consider who the players are, what they're doing, what they want, when they're deciding both on elections, which candidates should I be voting for, but also on the issues that they care about most, or that they should care about. Because unfortunately, there's money doesn't affect everything, but so for instance, nobody's going to change their vote on, few will change their vote on gun rights or abortion or Social Security, the things that people are paying attention to and feel passionately about and are vocal about. But there are, that's not what drives Washington on any given day. There's any number of arcane issues where the players are very powerful interests at the table, and the only one that's not at the table is the consumer, or the voter, or the constituent. So we're here to say there is a game being played, money's at the core, but you have recourse as a citizen, as just an average person. We're going to help you provide tools. We and any number of other NGOs and even governmental agencies and folks in government are trying to serve up the data and then pull the information out of it that people need to take control of and responsibility for and vigilance over their democracy. Our message is democracy doesn't work if you disengage. It only works effectively, efficiently, and appropriately if we do pay attention and participate. And so we're trying to make that an achievable goal, to have Americans actually, in their busy lives, when they're trying to, put food on the table, educate and clothe and provide health care for their families, to also pay attention to the conversation about policy, about what your government, what your representatives are doing on a state, on a local, and in our case on a national level, because it isn't affecting you, whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not. What is happening in Washington does have a direct impact on us all, either in our pocketbook or on the options available to us. And so our hope is that by providing this data, in the past 20 years, I think we've probably done the most of any organization to further cynicism and perhaps even apathy among the electorate. And our goal is not that. We want to instead say that, this information is available to you, it's out there, and it's not always the determinative element. Money is a critical issue, but it's not always what rules the day. So we want people to understand that it is influential. It does have undue influence in many cases over what laws and policy comes out of Washington, but it's not the only issue. And where people pay attention, where they are voicing their opinions and standing up and fighting for what they believe in and what they want from their representatives, they will carry the day. Because ultimately, in the end, money does not elect politicians, people do. And that's what our politicians will respond to if people make them.
Now, you're bringing up a lot of... I think that the theme is obviously is transparency and creating complete and open dialogues and a really better understanding for everyone, so that they can understand their system as well as they possibly can. Have you had, in the time that Open Secrets has been in force, have you noticed any kinds of issues that have arisen because of transparency being the name of the game? What lessons have you learned, with this great open door to knowledge